2025. The current time is 6 PM for opening the meeting. Call to order, roll call. We have everybody, all aldermen are present at this time. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance and silent prayer in lieu of invocation. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you, everyone. Item 4, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting held on August 19th, 2025. See attachment 1. Council, what are your wishes?
Is it not up there? No. Oh, I'm so sorry. Why are they doing this? Huh. Okay. Well, somebody wants to make a motion, I'll put it in.
Motion to approve.
I got a motion by Palmquist to approve. Got a second by Penscover.
Why isn't it letting me do that? Hold on. Second. Okay, got it.
All right. Motion by Palmquist, second by Penscover. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes.
I can do it manually if you want. Okay. Wonder what's going on here. Oh, Dennis voted. Are you guys all having trouble?
Yeah, just says voting.
Tyler? It's not letting a motion or vote.
Did you have to do something with this or no?
No, it's just normal. Like Dennis voted, but, and Jake restarted his app. I can, but like these guys restarted.
They're all connected.
So if you all restart, it should work. Sorry, guys.
They're still connected to that meeting though.
I didn't know it, but it wouldn't let me put in motion or second. Just Justin and Jeff. Yeah, you have to, there you go. Justin. There we go.
Motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays.
Okay.
Item 5, consider for confirmation Mayor Zachary's appointments to various committees, commissions, and boards. See attachment 2. I have one for the Historic Preservation Commission, Mary Grace Schleisman, 1631 North Norton Street, appointed regular member to replace Jackie Bridal Diedrich, term expiring 2/1/2026.
Motion
Council,
to approve?
I got a motion by Catna to approve, seconded by Veneman. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes. Motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays. Item 6, consider a resolution that the City of Wisconsin Rapids will be exempt from the payment of any county library tax as provided in section 43.64, para 2, para B, Wisconsin statutes. See attachment number 3. Tim?
Sure. Basically, what this is doing is Wood County levies a library tax to fund the public libraries of which the city of Wisconsin receives aid from the county. So they recognize that the city is already funding or supporting the library through the general property tax. And basically what this is doing is exempting city taxpayers from that library tax that the county levies each year. And basically, if we provide an appropriation in a 26 budget greater than $486,000, then we're exempted. So basically, by passing this, you're exempting city residents from the county library tax, and basically you're committing to a levy appropriation of $486,000. Last year, the appropriation was $1,168,000. So I recommend approval of the resolution.
Questions or comments?
Motion to approve the resolution?
Got a motion by Austin, seconded by Tim. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes. Motion passes 7 ayes to 1 nay. Catna in the negative or against. All right. Item 7, consider the appointment of a municipal judge to temporarily fill the vacancy which will be created due to the retirement of Judge Peter Kastenholz to serve from October 1st, 2025 through April 30th, 2026, with a special election being held on April 7th, 2026 to fill the vacancy beginning May 1st, 2026. See attachment number 4. We've had 2 letters of interest, Mr. Steve Walzak, who is here with us, and Mr. Aaron Verwink, who will not be able to join us tonight. At this point, I turn it over to you guys. What are your wishes? Yes.
Just a question of procedure. So is this, we nominate and then vote on a candidate?
Yes, you could do it that way,
And there,
or,
go ahead.
right, that probably would be the way to go. I don't know if you wanted to hear from any of them first, or,
Yeah, I just,
yeah,
and then
right.
in the event there's more than one nomination.
right, then with the most votes would,
Okay.
I think what we
When?
can do is use the voting screen and say ayes are for Mr. Walzak, nays are for Mr. Verwink.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, at this point, what are your wishes? All right. Mr. Walzak, if you want to take the mic, if you want to share a few words, and you guys are asked if you have questions, to feel free to ask him any questions.
Make sure the mic's on.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Walzak? No?
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for showing up, and your resume is excellent. Do you have any problem with running an election in the spring? Is that what you're considering? Okay. No, my plan would be to run. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Walzak. All right, so to clarify, if you're,
Do nominations.
okay. All right, hold on. On the motion, we'll hold off on the motion. What's your question? Okay, yes, so at this point in time, opening the floor to nominations. Mr. Cattenall,
I'll nominate Attorney Verwink.
all right.
I'll second that.
What's that?
Yeah.
All right, don't need a second, but appreciate it. Is there any other nominations out there?
I'll nominate Mr. Walzak.
All right, got a nomination for Mr. Walzak from Mr. Tim.
Okay.
All right, so to be clear, can I go right to the vote? If you vote A, you're voting for Mr. Walzak. If you vote nay, you're voting for Mr. Verwink. Okay? All right. Nay is Verwink. All right, go ahead.
So
and
what,
vote. Hold on a
we
second.
have a motion? Okay, do you want to withdraw your motion? Okay, can you do it on yours? Can you withdraw it? Okay, let me see if I can do it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and vote?
Yes, go ahead. Cast your votes, please. All right, we have 4 A's for Mr. Walzak, 2 nays for Mr. Verwink, and 2 abstentions, Austin and Palmquist.
Do you have to have majority? No? Okay. So, Mr. Walzak then? Yeah. That was Mr. Walzak.
All right, so with the 4 A's for Mr. Walzak, congratulations, Mr. Walzak, and thank you for helping us out. Thank you. Have a good night. All right. Item 7, nope, we just did 7. Item 8,
Hold on.
okay, go ahead.
I forgot to write down these. Okay. Item number 7.
Item- good.
Whoops. What are we on? Number 8?
Item 8.
Okay, hold on. Got it.
All right. Item 8, consider for adoption the actions of the Planning Commission at its meeting held on September 8th, 2025. Mr. Kearns is with us on Zoom speaker, but he did ask, we agreed that I would read the minutes. Just wanted to say congratulations to Mr. Kearns and his family for their newborn baby.
Yay.
All right, so the meeting was called to order. Planning Commission meeting on September 8th, 2025, called to order at 4:00 PM. Approval of the report from the August Planning Commission meeting. Motion by Tao to approve the report, seconded by Marutz. Motion carried 6-0. Number 2, request from Stephen and Laura Nelson for a special exception to exceed the maximum number of parking spaces on a lot in the mixed-use commercial B5 district and to exceed the minimum amount of parking in front of the principal building at an unaddressed parcel on the southeast corner of Peach Street and 24th Street South, parcel ID 3410788. Elizabeth Edwardson provided some background. Approval was recommended with conditions outlined in the staff report. Eric Doven joined the Planning Commission by Zoom at that time. There's a motion by Austin to approve the request. And subject to the following conditions. 1, Community Development Department shall have the authority to approve minor modifications to the plan. It was seconded by Bailey and motion carried 7-0. Item 3, request from Badger Land Survey LLC for a certified survey map to combine 2 lots at 631 19th Street South, parcel ID 340-6337 and 340-6335 and dedicate right-of-way along 20th Street South. Ms. Edwardson provided some summary of the request. Approval is recommended. Motion by Maroots to approve, and seconded by Tao. Motion carried 7-0. Item 4, request from Badgerland Survey LLC for a certified survey map to alter lot lines and access Lot 1 via easement and private road at 4330 8th Street South, parcel IDs 3414150 and 3414152. Mr. Kearns provided background information on the request. Approval was recommended. Motion by Austin to approve the request, and seconded by Maroots. Motion carried 7-0. Item 5, request from the City of Wisconsin Rapids for a public hearing and action to amend Chapter 11 zoning ordinance, Article 6, Division 3, general standards pertaining to driveways. Mr. Kearns provided a synopsis of the request, referencing the ordinance as amended submitted by Alderperson Austin. Staff did not recommend the approval as it does not support the city ordinance as written. Mr. Austin provided his comments. Ms. Schifferl had some questions about the existing gravel driveways, auxiliary parking. Mr. Kearns responded, also asked about enforcement, and Mr. Austin replied, outlining his proposed amendment again. Mr. Tao added his comments and concerns with the proposal. The public hearing opened at 4:32 p.m. Speaking against, Kevin Fangman, 710 3rd Street South. Speaking in favor, none. Public hearing closed at 4:34 p.m. There's a motion by Schifferl to approve the original request previously presented by staff to amend Chapter 11 zoning ordinance, Article 6, Division 3, general standards pertaining to driveways. The motion was then subsequently withdrawn by Schifferl. The motion by Austin to approve the request to amend Chapter 11 with amendments to the ordinances presented. 1, setback. Side yard setback would be allowed up to the lot line if containment, edging, or fencing is in place. Number 2, surface material. Gravel must be clean, uniformly graded material and suitable for vehicle use. 3, containment. Containment edging should not be mandatory unless there is a documented ongoing issue. Item 4, maintenance. Homeowners are responsible for keeping gravel driveways in good condition, free of ruts, washouts, or migration. Item 5, concrete apron or hard surface apron at the road should be required to prevent gravel up to the city right-of-way. 6, owner responsibility. Property owners should be trusted to assess their own site conditions, soil, slope, drainage, and choose an appropriate installation method. Motion was seconded by Maroots. Motion carried 4-3. Those against were Schifferl, Zacher, and Tao. Item 6, request from the City of Wisconsin Rapids for a public hearing and action to amend Chapter 11 zoning ordinance, Article 5, Division 16, expansion of a non-conforming building, and Article 19, nonconformities to modify the review procedures for expansion of a non-conforming building. Kyle Kearns provided a summary of the request. Approval was recommended. Public hearing opened at 4:49 p.m. Speaking in favor was Elizabeth Whalen at 211 15th Avenue North. Speaking against, none. Public hearing closed at 4:50 p.m. There's a motion by Austin to approve the request. There's seconded by Tao. Motion carried 7-0. Adjournment. Motion by Zacher to adjourn at 4:51 p.m. Meeting adjourned. And with that, I submit the minutes for the Planning Commission. What are your wishes?
Motion to approve.
Mr. Tim, I got a motion to approve the minutes by Mr. Tim. I got a second by Penscover. Any other questions or comments? Anything? All right. No questions or comments? Go ahead and cast your votes. Motion carries 6 ayes to 1 nay and 1 abstention, being Mr. Catna, and Mr. Pollack voted in the negative.
No. he
Wait, what?
abstained. Catna abstained.
Didn't I say that? Sorry. That's good. Yeah. All right. Item 9, consider for adoption the actions of standing committees of the Common Council as follows. A Finance and Property Committee meeting held on September 9th, 2025. Mr. Catna.
Thank you. Finance and Property Committee met at 5 PM Tuesday, September 9th in the first floor conference room at City Hall. All members of the Finance and Property Committee were present. I called the meeting to order at 5 PM. Item 2, we consider a referral from the Public Works Department to approve a proposal to replace a Beaver B5 2000 natural gas-fired power washer. Moved by Veneman, seconded by Tim to approve the purchase in the amount of $11,195. Motion carried 3-0. Item 3, this this party has withdrawn their application. See minutes for further details. Item 4, consider a resolution authorizing and approving the city's participation in the proposed settlement of opioid-related claims against Purdue Pharma, Sacklers, as well as that of 9 other defendants, and directing the city attorney and/or the mayor to execute the documents necessary to effectuate the city's participation in the settlement. It was moved by Veneman, seconded by Tim, to approve the resolution authorizing and approving of the city's participation in the proposed settlement of the opioid-related claims against Purdue Pharma, Sacklers, as well as that of 9 other defendants, and directing the city attorney and/or mayor to execute the documents necessary to effectuate the city's participation in the settlement. Motion carried 3-0. Item 5, 2026 budget update. Finance Director Tim DeSorsi gave an update on the 2026 budget process. No action was taken on this item. Item 6 was audit the bills. It was moved by myself, seconded by Veneman, to approve checks number 26886 to 27257 in the amount of $7,074,055.55. Motion carried 3-0. Item 7 was set next meeting date. The next regular meeting of the Finance and Property Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, October 27th at 5 p.m. At 5:34, I called the recess until 5:45 p.m. to allow Attorney Schill to be in attendance. No discussion or action took place during the recess. At 5:45, I called the meeting back into order. And we did item 8, which is an open session. The committee may vote to go into closed session under section 19.85, para 1, para E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. It was moved by Tim, seconded by Veneman to go into closed session. Roll call vote was taken. All members voted in the affirmative, and the committee entered into closed session. In closed session, the committee discussed negotiation and strategy regarding a pre-negotiation agreement and lease and service agreement with Safe Haven Baby Boxes, Inc. for installation of a Safe Haven Baby Box at the Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department. In closed session, the committee discussed negotiation and strategy regarding a pre-negotiation agreement and a lease and service agreement with Safe Haven Baby Box for installation of a Safe Haven Baby Box at Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department. No action was taken on this item. Item 9, the committee returned to open session. There being no further business to come before the committee adjourned at 6:49 p.m. And with that, I submit these minutes for approval, withholding item 5.
All right, I get a motion by Catna. Holding out item 5. I get a second by Palmquist. Any questions or comments? Anything else? Okay, so we are going to vote on passing the remainder of the minutes, holding out item, what'd you say? 5.
5.
Item 5.
Yep.
Go ahead and cast your votes. All right, motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays. And item 5, Mr. Catnow?
Thank you. So item 5, there was no action taken, but it was the 2026 budget update, and discussion took place on how we want to move forward with taking on the budget. It's a discussion we had in the past, if we want to do it as a committee of the whole, which has been done the past few years, or if we want to do it as it was done in the past through the finance committee. So we didn't have everybody there. We kind of took a roll call vote. We were missing a couple, and times passed. Maybe people changed their minds. So I wanted to bring that out and let everybody say what their thoughts are on it. And also note that if we are going to go through the finance committee, we would take it through the committee process. The committee members said that they'd be willing, we'll meet extra compared to what we normally do. And then it would come to the common council meeting as I read the minutes and could be pulled out for further discussion there. I guess what I want to prevent from happening is if we get into a situation, we had one last year, where it keeps getting bounced back and coming back. I think at that point, and I mentioned this, maybe a hybrid would work best, where we take out those certain issues and bring them to a committee of the whole. So that's what I got on that. Opening it up for what everybody wants to do, because I think me and Maddie are trying to figure out which direction we're going.
Ms. Palmquist?
Would the plan be to have each department budget reviewed or each portion of the budget reviewed in individual meetings with property and finance? Or to have one big meeting? Sure.
So we would return to a previous model, which is staggered finance meetings, bringing in as many departments as we can in a meeting with keeping it in a reasonable time frame. I'll give you an example. So the police department's budget will most likely be a lot larger than the city attorney's office. So if we're going to take up like a larger budget, we might have less items on the agenda than if we take up some of the smaller departments. If that answers the question.
And if I couldn't be in attendance at the meeting and had questions about a specific department's budget, I can submit those like I normally would for something that's on the agenda and have them answered. Great. My only question. Thank you.
Any other questions? So if I could just say one thing real quick, you know, when we did change it, the whole goal to that was saying, I agree with Jake. The committee meetings are good if you pay attention to them, get the information you need, and are ready to ask questions again at the council meeting when we have that. The reason we switched it in the past was because usually we'd get down to the nitty-gritty at the end of the budget cycle, and that's when all the questions were being asked. And I felt, I guess at that time, it would have been better to have the entire committee of the whole there at least once. Like, I think the first time we got a little carried away and we had more than we needed in meetings to try to get through all the budgets. I think last year was a little bit more appropriate. So my goal is, if you don't do committee of the whole, or my thoughts are to make sure you're at least at the committee meetings or following up with questions like that, so that you're not waiting till the very end and then we're kind of struggling to get the answers we need to finish the budget process. So appreciate it. Thanks. All right, no other questions or comments, I guess. Are you making a motion as to how you want this to?
No, I wasn't. There was 6 aldermen there, and we heard from them. The 2 that weren't were Mr. Plus and Mr. Austin, so maybe if they just wanted to speak on their preference so we know where we're at.
So holding off on that motion for 1 second. Mr. Austin?
Yeah, and I think I previously answered this. I'm fine with finance handling the budget as Mr. Ketna has proposed, and if we need to gather at a committee of the whole if there's issues that arise, then at that time, I think it's wise to hold the committee of the whole, but finance handling it, and of course, it's your due diligence as an alderman to follow along with these committee meetings, so.
Mr. Lewis?
I kind of echo Alderman Austin's comments that he just made.
All right, thank you. So Ed, are we looking to just make it official?
I would like to make it official.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
I think not only does it help with having us do our due diligence on the budget, it also gives our residents a little bit of time to digest what is being presented to them and ask questions. While last year, the committee of the whole did go very streamlined, we didn't have that opportunity to have the public give us feedback. I think between the property and finance meetings and the common council meetings, that we can gather our thoughts and be prepared to ask questions after the presentations by the departments, and we can also get questions from the public to bring up at this meeting. Motion to send it back to property and finance.
Somebody want to recognize Mrs.?
I'll recognize her.
Coming up, you know the routine.
So, thank you. My name's Elizabeth Whalen. My address is 211 15th Avenue North. By the way, my name is spelled Whelan. Thank you. So as a member of the community that's gone through several budgets and been interested in following them, I just want to say that I find it very frustrating to come across agenda items that just say budget update, or that we're going to be, that don't specify what departments you're going to be speaking with. I think that makes it harder for the public to stay informed and involved. And I hope that your goal is to involve the public. I know that there's public hearings, of course, on the budget when it's complete, but I think, it would be nice to actually have the public, as the process is going through, to, kind of call some of those things that they're interested in. I think that actually was part of the problem last year when we had, the fan, and that when everything kind of went screwy with the Humane Society budgets. That's what's happened in the past with when things happened with the library budget. People weren't, I think, informed along the way, and so at the very end, when people finally got the notice, because honestly, we don't have the, newspaper coverage. We don't have the local, someone providing that information as readily anymore. So it's harder to keep people informed. And so I think having that as a process would be very helpful. And I know I would appreciate it, and I'm sure others would too. So that's all.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion by Palmquist to send the item back to Finance and Property Committee.
For the 2026 budget, correct?
And I got a second by Catna. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes. Motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays. Thank you. Item B, Public Works Committee meeting held on September 4th, 2025. Ms. Palmquist.
Thank you. The Public Works Committee met Thursday, September 4th, 2025 in council chambers at City Hall. Item 1 was called to order. The meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. Item 2, review the engineering and street monthly activity report. The reports were reviewed. No action was taken. Item 3, review the 2025 construction project status report. The report was reviewed. No action was taken. Item 4, discuss the creation and development of a citywide master sidewalk plan. A conceptual summary was reviewed, and ordinance changes were discussed, along with adding a map document to the GIS map and addressing homeowners' ability to install their own sidewalks. Motion by Palmquist to revise Chapter 6 Streets and Sidewalks to include items outlined in the Master Sidewalk Conceptual Plan Summary. Second by Penscover. Motion carried 3-0. Item 5, review and consider the proposal from Link Things for predictive mobility project funded through the Wisconsin DOT's CRP program. Discussion was had regarding ongoing costs with the installation. There's a 3-year warranty on all parts and equipment. Additional information will be provided to council on the renewal of the warranty at the end of the initial contract period. That email was sent. Motion by Austin to award the predictive mobility project to Link Things. Second by Palmquist. Motion carried 3-0. Item 6 was to review the referral list. The referral list was reviewed and requested to have agenda items and their discussion historically added. Item 7, set next meeting date. Next regular meeting will be on October 9th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Item 8, adjournment. Meeting adjourned at 5:32 p.m. With that, I submit these and a motion to approve.
All right, I got a motion by Palmquist to approve the minutes.
I'd like to hold out 5, please.
Mr. Catnow is holding out item 5. And then I have a second by Penscover. So I got a motion by Palmquist, seconded by Penscover to approve the minutes holding out item 5. Is that- All right, so any other questions on any of the other items, comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your vote. Motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays. Item 5, Mr. Catnow.
Thank you. Mr. Eichstead, can you speak to the effectiveness of this program with linked things and ongoing costs? And by effectiveness, I mean, what you've seen internally from the engineering department and, what kind of use it's getting.
Certainly. So this predictive mobility technology is a relatively new thing. Specifically, it's kind of a niche market with train delays and vehicle inconveniences. And so the technology senses where the trains are, where they're heading, and when they're going to be at particular crossings. That information is relayed to roadside signage as well as mobile phone apps. And so the drivers can become aware of, where the trains are. So this came out of the rail relocation feasibility study as a one potential option. And with the DOT's CRP grant project or grant opportunity or program that they have, we did apply for this project. We were successful in getting a grant for this, and the effectiveness that, I guess it's largely going to depend on how much inconvenience there is from trains occupying the crossings, as well as people's willingness to use the app, and so it could vary.
Thank you. So this is a $548,000 proposal. The city is responsible for 20% of it, which is $109,600. And I remember the conversations we had around this. There was other options discussed, ones that were much more expensive. But even at the cost of this, it's been around for a bit now. I've went and looked at some of the equipment. I've looked at the app. I'm not that impressed with the app, and I have talked to a lot of people. I think this was a couple of years ago, at least, that we took this up, and I would be interested to see the app usage because nobody knows about it, nobody uses it for $110,000, and ongoing, that whole deal that you guys talked about. But
So if I could add, so the prior installation was just a demo. it's installed in other communities, but this project would be the initial install for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. So the app usage here locally, you know, there hasn't been any infrastructure installed for that yet.
It was here temporarily though, right?
It was here on a demo basis, yep.
And how are we going to promote usage of the app? Because this would be an expensive app.
It's a good question. We would rely on Link Things. It's part of the package deal that they would help to promote it for the 3-year warranty period. And, you know, obviously whatever we could do to assist with that. But again, there's no guarantee on the effectiveness or the use of the product.
And that's what I'm worried about, spending money for something that's not going to be used. I know when we had the vendor on previously, again, this is a while back, they talked about that they would potentially be building it into Apple CarPlay, Android CarPlay, where you could see it while you're driving. If it exists solely on a phone, I just don't know how effective it is when you're driving. So I just wanted to raise some of those things before we move forward with this. It's 109,600 to the city here, but even the state portion is still coming from tax, and we either really gotta promote this and make sure it's used, or this could potentially be a lot of wasted money.
Mr. Tim?
So there's also signs that say the train's coming in 20 minutes or something to alert people, or?
There would be some roadside signs that would allow or would notify vehicle drivers that an upcoming crossing is occupied. What they will not do is direct state highway traffic off of the state highway onto local streets. So it won't tell the drivers, you know, hey, turn left at the next intersection. It'll just notify that a crossing ahead is occupied.
I don't know if there's been studies or things, but is it more chaotic when people see that sign that, you know, now I got to quickly turn here or turn around and go back to beat the train or any of that?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure on that, but certainly that's partly the reason why we didn't want to have, you know, a detour route identified. You know, it's one of multiple reasons.
Thank you.
Mr. Plewis?
So am I correct that the cost of this app is 109,000 roughly?
The city's cost for a 3-year package deal is 109,000, up to that amount.
109,000 for an app that tells us which way the train's coming, and I would say for the majority of the locals that live in this area, we've dealt with this train problem for many, many years, and we know which way the train, if the train's coming, which way our alternate avenues are. I don't think it's worth 109,000.
Mr. Austin?
I think we're leaving one big piece of this out. Can we talk about the communication from Link Things to our emergency services, the fire department, the PD, the EMTs? My comments in the Public Works meeting were the same. That's the primary reason behind this, in my opinion. We've all seen the stories. We've all seen the video of ambulance sitting at a train crossing, you know, waiting. That's my primary concern, and my primary reasoning for wanting to invest in this. So can we speak to how the PD, the fire department, and the EMTs are communicated by Link Things as well?
Yeah, so they would have the same option to access the information as any of the other vehicle drivers, with the addition of integration into any of their current technology that they use for notification. I don't know a lot about how that integration works, but I do know that it is a possibility to integrate into the existing notification technology that you guys are using.
So that being my primary concern, as far as residents are concerned, you know, yeah, we can we can advocate for the app. If there's takers, that's great, but that is not my reasoning behind this. I know there's many residents that are concerned about train traffic, and I'm sure they would utilize it. But that number really isn't as important to me as keeping our first responders informed on train traffic.
Mr. Pluis?
I appreciate Alderman Austin's concerns about the first responders' ability to respond, and this app, a possibility of giving them advance notice. But being one of those first responders that at one time was stuck behind one of those trains and watched a house fully engulfed on the other side of the tracks, I don't think this app will change that. What we need to do is take that $109,000 that we'd spent on this app and apply it to relocating those tracks so that we can have more mobility across our city.
Mr. Austin?
Mr. Pluis, I don't believe you were around when we were presented this option. And part of the data in that presentation was that I think the number was 99% of the time there was a alternative route available to bypass the stop train. And I think that information would be quite valuable for our first responders. Thank you.
Mr. Tim?
Can the police or fire department talk about how many times they're stuck behind trains, or is that relevant or not relevant?
We could run data on it and find out. I mean, it's a very limited amount. You know, to Mr. Plus's point, yeah, there has been incidences where you're on one side and you need to get to the other. You know, Coltrane, we've all been there waiting for an extended period of time. You know, as I think about it as a responder, sometimes, you know, there are those alternative routes. And you identify those in your brain and you're trying to head towards the direction that you think there's going to be an opening, and sometimes there's not, or it's a delayed response. It's kind of a gamble in that sense. So, you know, to Mr. Austin's point, you know, would it be nice knowing where they're headed? You know, if I'm looking to get across Chase and I got to go up to West Grand and that's blocked too, and High is blocked, you know, do I take the chance and go all the way up? You know, you do it in your own personal vehicle as well, as, you know, you try to weigh out, okay, do I wait and just be patient because it's near the end, or do I go all the way to the end and, you know, put on the extra miles thinking, oh, I'm going to be ahead of this thing. So yeah, I don't know if I can speak too much more to that unless the police chief wants to speak on it.
Yeah, I agree with the fire chief in that. I mean, I don't have any numbers to give you, but I think it's, you know, pretty similar when we come into a situation where there's a train. Most of our officers know the alternative routes depending on the direction the train is traveling, and you know, things of that nature. And again, like fire chief said, you know, getting advance notice when you're on your way there, I think would be beneficial. But how beneficial, I don't know at this point in time without, you know, looking into it with my staff.
I will say, you know, the integration of this interests me, how it might look, as Joe is describing it. Tasking our people with more, you know, inquiry in technology when they're trying to prepare themselves and respond sometimes isn't, you know, the best ask from our people. Usually it's, you know, focus on, you know, the task at hand, and that's typically driving an emergency vehicle. You know, in the police department, typically they're responding alone, as you know. With us, you know, typically we're looking at different maps and identifying, you know, a route and safely getting there and sizing it up and then getting adequate personnel on scene. So, you know, maybe technology sometimes is great to have, you know, in a vacuum, but sometimes too much of it when you're trying to get there is a hindrance. So.
Thank you. And Joe, we've done a trial or a test with emergency services to see what they think of that, or that hasn't been done?
There was a, not specific with emergency services, but there was a demo that was, a mobile sensing equipment was set up along the rail, and the app was accessible to the council at that time, that we were doing the rail feasibility study. And that was in, the study came out in February of 2023. We then applied for the grant at that time or shortly thereafter. And then over the course of the time that the grant was received and up until recently, we were working with the DOT on all of the project procedural type things to get the project to a point where we could award the contract, which is the point we're at today.
And if we don't award it today, what would be the next step? Do we have time to reconsider, or it's completely done at that
Yeah,
point?
I think there's still time
Okay.
to consider the award. And certainly the city does have the right to, not proceed with the project as well. That's always a possibility. I guess if there is a postponement, I can certainly share the rail feasibility study where, all of the data. I think the fire chief at the time provided data for blocked crossings that they experienced throughout a typical year, as well as some other pertinent information.
I feel like I understand Ryan, Alderman Austin's point, and that's exactly what I would say is, if it's beneficial to emergency services, I'm 100% behind it. But I feel like we need their backing, so we would need a trial with them, with emergency services, to make sure it's worth the effort and the expense. That's where I'm at.
Ms. Palmquist?
So I have anyone can look up link things. The first thing that comes up on their webpage is the study from Wisconsin Rapids, so to the public. There's some other key information in that study. One that stands out to me is not only the hindrance to our emergency services, but 95% of the community reported engaging in dangerous safety behavior to avoid having to be blocked by the train, because there was like 85% of them have missed appointments due to blocked train crossings, waiting between 5 and 20 minutes. 60% of the community reported blockages over 20 minutes 30 days before the study. It's a lot. And I wanted to ask finance, while I would very much like to save that money to be able to move the crossing completely or move the train tracks completely out, the funding for this is coming from our TID funding, correct? So if we don't use it before it expires, what happens to that money?
Well, the expenditure period for TID number 7, our downtown TID, is at the end of 27. So any surplus in that TID district is then distributed amongst all the taxing entities, that being county, schools, tech colleges, on a pro rata share basis.
And we have to use that money for a specific project. We can't save it for a later allocated project.
Correct. If you remember, we just amended the TIF project plan, and this is one of the projects that was not originally in the TIF, but when we were doing the project amendment, we brought in the TIF so that, because initially the TIF plan had the relocation of the rail tracks, but obviously that's not going to happen before the deadline. So this project was brought in that, so at least we can take advantage of the TIF financing to fund.
Okay. So if we don't use the funding, it goes back. If we want to use this money for something else, we have to amend the project plan again in order to have the alternative project funded.
Depending on the nature of the project.
Thank you.
Mr. Veneman?
I was kind of along the same lines as Ms. Palmquist. I think we need to revisit the rail feasibility study to realize the other options that were so totally out of the realm of our financial capability at this time. And this was like, if we go back to that 23 when this was when we applied for the grant, that's because this was like the only option that we could do anything about the railroad. And I do agree a lot with my fellow West Side alderperson. We deal with this an awful lot. to, I've been late for a council meeting because of the train, so, twice actually, once a committee meeting, so it's common. I can attest to what Ms. Palmquist said about the, people missing appointments. I've missed several. But appointments are nothing compared to what, the first responders are dealing with. So I think, I agree, looking at the feasibility study again, and I'd also be interested in, directing, police and fire to give us some info on what they have had in the past in terms of how long they've waited and certain things, documentation of that before, and then we take a look at it. So come back in another month or that type of thing.
So that all being said, what are your wishes?
I would agree with what Dean said. We need to study this a little bit more. If we can bring it back next month, I think that would be a wise decision.
You making a motion?
I would make a motion for that.
Just curious, are we sending it back to the committee or just holding it over until the next council meeting?
Let's send it back to the committee.
All right, I get a motion by Penscover to send this back to committee for further discussion and research. And I have a second by Mr. Tim. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes. Motion passes 6 ayes to 2 nays. All right, item C, Human Resource Committee meeting held on September 8th, 2025. Mr. Lewis.
Human Resource Committee held on Monday, September 8th at 5 p.m. in the first floor conference room at City Hall. All committee members were present. Also in attendance were Alderpersons Tim and Veneman, Mayor Zacher, Julie Tim, Kevin Fangman, Public Works Superintendent Paul Vollert, and Human Resource Manager Ryan Hartman. Agenda item number 1, call to order. Chairperson Pluis called the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Item number 2, discuss and consider the approval of the creation of an additional full-time position and the elimination of 2 limited-term employee positions in the street department to be part of the 2026 budget. See attached requisition and supporting materials. Motion by Catnall, seconded by Pluis to approve the creation of an additional full-time position and the elimination of 2 limited-term employees positions in the street department to be part of the 2026 budget. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 3, health insurance update. Update provided, no action taken. Item number 4, the committee will go into closed session pursuant section 19.85 subsection 1 paragraph C of the Wisconsin State Statute, which reads, considering employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation of data of any public employee which the government body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility. In closed session, the commission will consider granting extended sick leave to an employee pursuant to a collective bargaining agreement. Motion by Pollock, seconded by Catnall to go into closed session. Roll call vote taken. Motion carried with all members voting in the affirmative. In closed session, the committee considered granting extended sick leave to an employee pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement. The committee returned to open session, which was item number 5. Motion by Pluis, seconded by Pollock to return to open session. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 6, the committee may take action on the sick leave request. Motion by Pluis, seconded by Pollock to grant extended sick leave to an employee pursuant of the collective bargaining agreement. Motion carried 3-0. Item number 7 was adjournment. Chairperson Pluis adjourned the meeting at 5:46 p.m. With that, I make a motion to approve the Human Resource Committee's minutes.
I got a motion motion by Pluis to approve the minutes. Got a second by Pollock. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes. Motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays. Thank you. Item 10, reports of other committees, commissions, boards, and department reports. They are on file for you to read. Reach out if you have any questions. Item 11, referrals to committees.
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
could I just have a quick discussion on number 10 there?
Yep.
I had a concerned citizen reach out about the amount of recent fires we've had recently, and I just wanted to have the fire chief maybe provide some information or updates on those.
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Mr. Tim reached out, and we spoke earlier at the end of last week. And thanks for the opportunity to address the recent uptick in fires within the city. Most importantly, what we all can do as officials to address and limit that community risk profile that I always talk about. Keep in mind there are obviously certain liabilities we have as officials and responsibilities of the community we serve to ensure we match the resources with the emerging needs. Since July, as Mr. Tim referenced, if you do follow us on social media or read the reports that I publish, our department has responded to 7 significant fires, 5 of which have occurred at residential structures. Kind of 2 quick clarifications, because as we spoke, there's a lot of lingo that we typically use in the fire service, and I tried to delineate that and translate it into easily digestible things. So first, obviously, every fire within the city by procedure is a standard practice that we investigate it. An investigation alone does not signify some type of suspicion. Second, several incidences have been ruled, quote, undetermined. That simply means that we really don't have enough definitive information or evidence to select one cause over another. It doesn't imply that some type of fire was intentionally set. So at this time, we really have no evidence linking any of the incidents to one another. If there is an incident which is currently under investigation, I'm prohibited to comment on it as it could impact the outcome of the investigation. It is important to discuss, as we frequently do here, why speed and adequate staffing matters. Fire growth is fast. If you haven't looked on National Institute of Safety or other resources online, you can see that there's a different fuel level that we have nowadays than we did, say, 50 years ago, where we are using more petroleum products. Fires spread very quickly in a single room. It doubles in size every minute that passes. So modern homes can be life-threatening in roughly 2 or 3 minutes, and they reach a flashover state, which is pretty much fully engulfed from ceiling to floor, in about 5 to 6 minutes. So obviously there's a very small window for residents to escape and for firefighters to make a rescue. This is why early 911, rapid turnout times, and getting adequate number of firefighters on scene quickly is so critical to those early moments. I also want to speak candidly about staffing and our response capacity. If you did follow along and read my monthly report, you'll see a highlighted section in there that highlights high volume of EMS calls. And there are at times when our initial fire response is constrained because of the crews already committed to other emergencies, EMS predominantly. When that happens, we heavily rely on mutual aid partners to bring the necessary firefighters to the scene. Depending on the distance or availability, these resources can take 20 minutes or more to arrive. We are sincerely grateful for all of our mutual aid partners, but it's becoming more frequent that we're requiring the assistance from areas as far as Pittsville, Vesper, Rudolph, Plover, including our initial response aid partners of Grand Rapids, Port Edwards, Nakusa, and Buren. So don't mistake me by stating that all these, mutual aid partners in any way are not strong, but we frequently staff with personnel who respond from home, and they work to get into service as fast as they can, but it's just a different staffing model. So our goal really is always to place adequate firefighters on scene as quickly as possible for critical early tasks like water supply, search, ventilation, fire attack, most importantly, rescue in the event that that would occur. So strengthening our initial on-scene staffing while keeping EMS coverage strong is essential for safer and faster outcomes. I did a little bit of, after I talked to Mr. Tim, we kind of looked into, at the department, some of the growing trends that we see and some of the things that we're doing as an agency. This work kind of started under my tenure, but it obviously started way before my time, what we can do to limit that risk profile. Some of the things that the mayor and I have been working on are kind of targeting that prevention and outreach that we can do within the community, and this is coupled with Chief Hostins and the co-responder. So we've been identifying and addressing non-emergent calls for service to decrease that emergency service demand, and it frees up our available resources during the time of their greatest need. We've made some operational adjustments, increasing our staffing during surge times, and we've refined all of our mutual aid systems and partnerships there. And then the last one is just to be transparent and communicate with you all. We continue to have these meetings. I continue to, as I had in May, develop and implement some identification and reporting trends that impact that community risk profile. So I guess in closing, the 7 fires are understandably concerning, but we've investigated each incident thoroughly, and we have no evidence of a broader pattern at this time. So we're actively tightening some of our operations to look at, you know, how we can change and get more public service and information out there and how you can prevent it. Seasons are changing, so alternative fuel sources or heating sources are obviously a primary driver for fires this time of year. So we encourage everyone to check outlets and make sure you're not overdoing it with space heaters and that kind of thing. But if there's any other questions regarding, say, the uptick of fires or anything I mentioned tonight, I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody here or, you know, a call to my office as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All right. Thank you. Item 11, referrals to committees. Ms. Gossett?
I have received 3 referrals. The first one is from Alderperson Pluis regarding EMS service contracts with surrounding communities. I have a referral from Alderperson Palmquist regarding revisions to Chapter 2 of the Municipal Code regarding referrals, and another one from Alderperson Palmquist regarding revisions to the ATV-UTV ordinance.
Thank you. All right, item 12. In open session, the council may vote to go into closed session under section 19.85, para 1, para E of the Wisconsin statutes, which reads deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or the conducting of other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. In closed session, the council may discuss the referral from Mayor Zachary to consider previous EMS agreements, referrals that was considered by the Finance and Property Committee but was not taken up by the council. And the committee may then discuss negotiations and strategies regarding renewals of emergency medical services with Buren, Town of Port Edwards, Nakusa, Cranmore, and Ho Chunk Casino, which expire on December 31st, 2025. The council may adjourn in closed session or may return to open. I'm sorry, that's 13. So what are your wishes?
Motion to go into closed session.
I got a motion by Austin to go into closed session, seconded by Tim. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, go ahead and cast your votes. Motion passes 8 ayes to 0 nays. We are now in closed session.